The Resilience docked at the Valari station 3 days later. Word of the rescue had spread throughout the galactic community with incredible speed. When the crew walked through the airlock with the 4 survivors, they found themselves facing a crowd of aliens from at least 20 different species. Ambassador Krillix pushed through the crowd, its compound eyes shimmering with emotion. "Captain Taman, you actually did it. You went to Kelvara Prime and returned. This is unprecedented." "We just did what needed to be done," Taman said, uncomfortable with all the attention. "Dr. Velmar and the team are the real heroes. They survived for weeks in impossible conditions." Dr. Velmar, now recovered enough to walk with only a slight limp, clicked its mandibles in what might have been laughter. "Captain, we survived by hiding in our wrecked ship and hoping for rescue. You walked through a death world like it was a park. There is no comparison." Medical teams took the wounded Valari away for proper treatment. Taman and his crew were escorted to a large amphitheater where representatives from dozens of species had gathered. The room fell silent as they entered. A tall being made of crystal stepped forward, its body chiming softly as it moved. "I am Speaker Crystallis, representing the Galactic Trade Assembly. Captain Taman, we have heard remarkable stories about your rescue mission. We would like to hear the truth directly from you." Taman looked at his crew. Hana nodded encouragingly. Jiwoo gave him a thumbs up. Donghyun just shrugged as if to say, "You got us into this." "The truth is simple," Taman began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "Kelvar Prime is a dangerous world by galactic standards. But by human standards, it's just difficult. We face similar conditions on Earth every day." He pulled up a holographic display showing Earth's environments. "These are deserts where the temperature reaches 60 degrees and water is almost impossible to find. These are Arctic regions where it drops to minus 50 degrees, and staying warm means life or death. These are jungles filled with venomous creatures and diseases. These are oceans with storms that can sink ships in minutes." The assembled aliens watched in silence, many of them making gestures of shock or disbelief. "Humans evolved in these conditions," Taemin continued. "We didn't get to choose an easy world. Earth forced us to become adaptable, to be creative, to never give up. When we encountered a predator, we learned to hunt it or avoid it. When we faced a storm, we built better shelters. When disease struck, we developed medicine. Every challenge made us stronger." A floating jellyfish-like creature spoke up, its voice translated through a device. "But surely your technology makes you safe from your world's dangers." Donghyun stepped forward to answer that one. "Our technology helps, but it can fail. I've flown through typhoons where one mistake means crashing into the ocean. I've landed in snowstorms where I couldn't see 3 meters in front of me. Technology is a tool, but survival comes from experience and training." Hana added, "We teach our children about danger from an early age, not to make them afraid, but to make them competent. We learn first aid, we learn to read weather patterns, we learn to respect nature's power. By the time we're adults, we've internalized thousands of lessons about survival." Jiwoo spoke last, her voice gentle but firm. "And we never leave someone behind if we can help them. That's not just human nature, that's Earth nature. We're a social species that survived by working together. When Dr. Velmar's team needed help, there was never a question of whether we would try. The only question was how." Dr. Velmar stood up from where it had been sitting with the other survivors. "They are telling the truth. I watched them navigate conditions that killed trained Valari rescue teams. They crossed boiling rivers, fought off pack hunters, and carried us through terrain that would have defeated most species. And they did it all without hesitation or complaint." Speaker Crystallis's body chimed thoughtfully. "This presents interesting opportunities. The galaxy has many worlds classified as too dangerous for colonization or resource extraction. Worlds with valuable minerals or research potential that we simply cannot access safely. If humans can operate in such environments, we could help," Taemin said carefully. "But we're not mercenaries or tools. We're partners. If the galactic community wants to work with humanity, it needs to be a relationship of equals and mutual benefit." Ambassador Krillix stepped forward again. "Captain, on behalf of the Valari, I would like to propose a joint venture. We would like to attempt colonizing Kelvara Prime again, but this time with human expertise and partnership. We can provide resources and technology. You can provide the knowledge of how to survive and thrive in hostile environments." Taemin considered the offer carefully. "We would need to send scientists to study the planet properly, understand its cycles, its ecosystems, its challenges. But yes, I think that could work. Humans and Valari working together could make Kelvara Prime habitable. Over the following hours, representatives from other species approached with similar proposals. A mining consortium wanted help accessing a metal-rich world with extreme gravity. A research institute wanted to study a planet with unusual geology, but dangerous seismic activity. A rescue organization wanted to train with humans to improve their capabilities. The human crew took all the information but made no immediate commitments. As they returned to the Resilience later that evening, Hana shook her head in wonder. We came out here just to explore and meet aliens. Now everyone wants to work with us. It makes sense, Jiwoo said. We fill a niche that nobody else can. We're the species that can go places others can't. Donghyun looked thoughtful. Do you think we're really that special? Or did we just get lucky being from such a harsh world? Taemin leaned against the ship's hull, looking out at the stars through the docking bay's transparent wall. I think Earth made us who we are. Every challenge our planet threw at us, every disaster our ancestors survived, every adaptation we had to make. It all prepared us for this moment. We're not stronger or smarter than other species. We're just experienced with adversity. A message came through on Taemin's communicator. It was from Ambassador Krillix. Captain, the Galactic Assembly has made a decision. They would like to offer humanity a formal position as the galaxy's specialists in hostile environment operations, search and rescue, and planetary challenges. The title they've proposed is Death World Specialists. What do you think? Taemin couldn't help but smile at the irony. Tell them we accept, Ambassador. But maybe we can workshop that title a bit. As news spread through the galaxy about humanity's new role, reactions were mixed. Some species were grateful that someone could help with problems they couldn't solve. Others were intimidated by humans' capabilities. A few were skeptical that any species could really be as adaptable as the story suggested. But one thing became clear. Humanity had made its mark on the galactic community. They weren't the most technologically advanced species. They weren't the oldest or the wisest. But they were the ones who could walk through hell and come back smiling. 3 months later, the first joint human-Valari colony ship departed for Kelvara Prime. Taemin wasn't on that ship. He and his crew had other missions, other challenges to face. But he watched it leave from the observation deck of the Resilience, feeling proud of what humanity had achieved. Hana joined him at the window. Do you think they'll make it? The colony, I mean. They will, Taemin said with confidence. They have Valari knowledge and human experience. That's a powerful combination. Besides, Kelvara Prime isn't really a death world. It's just a planet that requires respect and preparation. Like Earth, Hana said. Exactly like Earth. Their communicator chimed with new orders. Another species needed help with another impossible situation. Another world that others had given up on. Another chance for humans to show what they could do. Donghyun appeared in the doorway, already wearing his flight suit. Where to this time, Captain? Taemin pulled up the mission details. The planet had crushing gravity, acidic rain, and volcanic activity that would make most species run away screaming. He looked at his crew and saw their expressions shift from concern to determination to excitement. Looks like fun, Jiwoo said, already organizing her medical supplies. When do we leave? Hana asked, moving to check the ship's systems. Taemin smiled, the same smile he'd given Ambassador Krillix when they first warned him about death worlds. The smile of someone who had grown up on the toughest planet in the galaxy and learned to thrive there. We leave immediately, he said. After all, we're from Earth. If we can survive that death world, we can survive anywhere. The Resilience detached from the station and turned toward the stars, carrying its crew toward another impossible challenge. Behind them, the galaxy watched and learned a valuable lesson. Never underestimate a species that calls a death world home. They might just surprise you with what they consider normal, and somewhere out there on countless dangerous worlds that the galaxy had written off as too hostile for civilization, humanity was about to prove that impossible was just another word for challenging. They were death world specialists, not because they sought out danger, but because danger had forged them into something remarkable. They were human, and that made all the difference. The journey through the jungle at night was harder than anything they had faced so far. Taemin and Hana carried one stretcher between them, while Jiwoo helped the two mobile Valari navigate the rough terrain. The third injured survivor lay on a second stretcher they had to drag behind them, secured with straps. Every few minutes they had to stop and rest. The high gravity made the stretchers feel twice as heavy as they should. Taemin's shoulders burned and his legs felt like they were made of lead. But he kept moving one step at a time because that was the only way forward. The jungle came alive after dark in ways they hadn't anticipated. Bioluminescent plants glowed in shades of blue and green, creating an alien landscape that was beautiful and terrifying at once. Creatures moved through the canopy above them, their eyes reflecting the light when the humans' flashlights swept past. "Something's following us," Hana whispered, adjusting her grip on the stretcher. "I can hear it moving parallel to our position." "I hear it too," Taemin confirmed. "Stay alert but keep moving. We're making too much noise to hide, so our best option is to reach the clearing before whatever it is decides to attack." Dr. Velmar, walking beside Jiwoo, clicked its mandibles nervously. "Those sound like night hunters. They travel in packs of 10 to 20 individuals. They're what killed most of the previous rescue teams." "How big are they?" Jiwoo asked, her hand moving to the pistol at her hip. "Twice the size of your humans. Fast, intelligent, and coordinated. They'll try to separate us and pick off the weakest." Taemin considered their options. "Then we don't let them separate us. Everyone stays tight. If they attack, we form a circle with the wounded in the middle. Hana, do you have any more of those sonic emitters?" "2 more, but the batteries won't last long in this humidity." "Better than nothing." "Jiwoo, how much farther to the clearing?" Jiwoo checked her scanner, though the interference from the storms made it difficult to get a clear reading. "Maybe 1 kilometer. But there's a problem, Captain. There's a river between us and the landing zone. A big one." They pushed through the undergrowth and came to the river's edge. Even in the darkness, they could see the water rushing past with tremendous force. Worse, steam rose from its surface and the plants along its banks were wilted and dead. Hana knelt carefully and tested the water temperature with a probe. "It's nearly boiling. Must be volcanic activity heating it from below. We can't cross this." "There has to be a way," Taemin said, scanning up and down the riverbank with his flashlight. About 50 meters downstream, he spotted something. A fallen tree that stretched most of the way across the water. "There. We can use that as a bridge." "Captain, that's incredibly dangerous," Dr. Velmar protested. "If anyone falls into that water and then we don't fall," Taemin said firmly. "We've trained for this. Hana, help me secure lines to that tree." They worked quickly, tying ropes to the fallen tree and creating a safety line that ran its length. The tree was slippery and unstable, swaying with the force of the current below. Taemin went first, testing each step, showing his crew it could be done. The heat rising from the water made it hard to breathe. Sweat poured down his face and his vision blurred, but he had trained in volcanic regions back on Earth, had learned to push through extreme heat. He made it to the other side and secured the rope. "One at a time," he called back. "Use the safety line. Take your time." Hana came across next, moving with careful precision. Then Jiwoo helped Dr. Velmar, the injured Valari moving slowly on its 3 good legs. They got the wounded across one by one, pulling the stretchers along the safety line while Taemin and Hana steadied them from the far side. They were halfway through the operation when the night hunters decided to attack. The creatures burst from the jungle behind them, moving with terrifying speed. They were all muscle and teeth with 6 legs that propelled them forward in a galloping rush. Their eyes glowed red in the darkness and they made a sound like nothing Taemin had ever heard. Part growl, part scream. "Jiwoo, get the last stretcher across now," Taemin shouted, drawing his pistol. He fired at the lead creature, the energy bolt catching it in the shoulder. It stumbled but didn't stop. Hana activated the sonic emitters, placing them on the ground to create a barrier of sound. The hunters hesitated, clearly uncomfortable, but they didn't retreat. There were too many of them, and they were too hungry. Dr. Velmar and the other mobile Valari were still on the wrong side of the river, helping to push the final stretcher across. They were exposed and vulnerable. One of the hunters broke away from the pack, circling around the sonic emitters to attack them. Jiwoo didn't hesitate. She stepped between the hunter and the Valari, firing her pistol 3 times in rapid succession. The creature went down, but 2 more were already moving to take its place. She stood her ground, protecting the wounded while they scrambled to safety. "Jiwoo, move," Hana screamed. The medic fired 1 more shot, then turned and ran for the tree bridge. The hunters were right behind her, close enough that she could feel their breath. She leaped onto the fallen tree and ran across it with the kind of speed that only pure adrenaline could provide. Behind her, One of the hunters tried to follow, but the creature was too heavy and the tree was too unstable. It crashed through into the boiling water below, its screams cutting off almost immediately. Jiwoo made it to the far side and collapsed, gasping. That was too close. The rest of the pack gathered on the opposite bank, pacing and snarling but unwilling to risk the crossing. After a few minutes, they melted back into the jungle, searching for easier prey. Tai-Min helped Jiwoo to her feet. Good work. Everyone okay? They checked themselves and the Valari survivors. Aside from exhaustion and frayed nerves, everyone was intact. They continued toward the clearing, knowing that every minute brought them closer to safety. Above them, the sky began to lighten with the approach of dawn. The temperature started to rise immediately, going from freezing to comfortable to uncomfortably hot in less than an hour. The Valari struggled with the rapid change, but the humans adjusted quickly, used to Earth's own temperature swings. They reached the clearing just as the sun crested the horizon. It was a large open space where a rock slide had cleared away the jungle years ago, and there, descending through the morning mist, was the Resilience. Donghyun had navigated the canyon perfectly, bringing the ship down in a textbook landing. The cargo ramp lowered and the pilot appeared at the top, grinning widely. Welcome back. I thought you might need a ride. They loaded the wounded Valari into the ship's medical bay, where Jiwoo could treat them properly. Dr. Velmar stood at the cargo ramp for a moment, looking back at the jungle that had nearly killed them all. You humans are remarkable, the scientist said quietly. Every challenge this planet presented, you found a way through. The heat, the cold, the predators, the terrain. Nothing stopped you. Tai-Min stood beside the Valari, also looking out at Kelvara Prime. We've had a lot of practice. Earth taught us that nature doesn't care about your plans. You adapt or you die. We chose to adapt. And that makes all the difference, Dr. Velmar said. As the Resilience lifted off, leaving the death world behind, Tai-Min realized that they had done more than rescue a science team. They had shown the galaxy what humans were capable of. The real question was what would come next. The entrance to the crashed Valari ship resisted their efforts. Hana used a plasma cutter to slice through the warped metal, sending sparks cascading down into the darkness below. The metal groaned and finally gave way, revealing a dark corridor that smelled of stale air and fear. Hello? Tai-Min called into the darkness. This is Captain Tai-Min of the human vessel Resilience. We're here to rescue you. For a moment there was only silence. Then they heard movement, slow and cautious. A light appeared deeper in the ship, wobbling as someone carried it toward them. A Valari emerged from the shadows and Tai-Min could immediately see the creature was in bad shape. Its chitinous plates were cracked and dull. One of its legs was bound with makeshift bandages and its compound eyes had lost their shine. Humans? The Valari said through its translator, voice weak with disbelief. You came through the storms? You survived the jungle? This is impossible. Clearly not impossible, Jiwoo said gently, moving forward with her medical scanner. My name is Jiwoo. I'm a medic. Please let me check your injuries. The Valari allowed her to approach, too exhausted to resist. I am Dr. Velmar, it said. There are 3 others alive inside. 2 are badly injured. We thought we would die here. The rescue missions couldn't reach us. Tai-Min and Hana entered the ship, following Dr. Velmar deeper into the wreckage. Emergency lights flickered along the corridor, powered by whatever reserves remained. They found the other survivors in what had been the science lab, now converted into a makeshift shelter. The scene was grim. 2 Valari lay on the floor, barely moving. A third sat against the wall, holding its manipulators over a wound in its thorax. Medical supplies were scattered around them, mostly empty containers and used bandages. They had been surviving, but just barely. Jiwoo immediately went to work, kneeling beside the most seriously injured Valari. She ran her scanner over its body, reading the data with practiced efficiency. Multiple fractures, severe dehydration, and significant infection. The infection is the biggest problem. Their immune systems are failing. What can you do? Tai-Min asked. I'm going to try something, Jiwoo said, pulling supplies from her medical pack. Human broad-spectrum antibiotics are designed to work against a wide range of bacteria. I've been studying Valari physiology since we met Ambassador Krillix. I think I can modify the dosage to work with their biology. Dr. Velmar clicked its mandibles nervously. That's extremely risky. Our biochemistry is very different from yours. The medication could kill them. Jiwoo met the alien's eyes with calm confidence. Right now, the infection will kill them in a few days, maybe sooner. This gives them a chance. Trust me. She administered the treatment carefully, monitoring the patient's vital signs. For several tense minutes, nothing happened. Then the Valari's breathing began to steady, becoming deeper and more regular. The fever readings on Jiwoo's scanner started to drop. It's working, Dr. Velmar whispered. By the stars, it's actually working. While Jiwoo treated the wounded, Hana examined the crashed ship systems. The main reactor is dead, but you've been running on backup power. That's why your distress signal was so weak. The communications array is completely destroyed. You couldn't call for help even if you wanted to. We tried to repair it, Dr. Velmar explained, watching as Jiwoo moved to treat the next patient. But every time we went outside, the predators attacked. We lost 2 of our team in the first week. The others died when part of the ship collapsed during an earthquake. Taemin walked around the lab, looking at the equipment and research notes scattered everywhere. Ambassador Krillic said you were studying why the planet changed. Did you find anything? Dr. Velmar gestured weakly toward a data terminal that still had power. Yes, but the discovery doesn't help us escape. Kelvara Prime hasn't changed. It's always been like this. The planet goes through natural cycles, you see. For 20 standard years, the climate is mild and the ecosystem is stable. Then it shifts into a volatile phase for another 20 years before calming down again. So the colony was built during a calm period, Hana said, understanding immediately. And you didn't realize the planet would change. Exactly. We thought we had found a paradise world. We didn't study it long enough to understand its cycles. When the shift began, we were unprepared. Our buildings couldn't withstand the earthquakes. Our agriculture couldn't survive the temperature swings. The animals we thought were docile became aggressive during their breeding season. Taemin pulled up Earth's data on his tablet and showed it to Dr. Velmar. Our planet does similar things, just on a longer timescale. We have ice ages that last thousands of years, climate shifts that destroy civilizations, species that migrate or change behavior with the seasons, volcanoes that alter the entire atmosphere. Dr. Velmar studied the information, its eyes moving rapidly. Then how does your species survive? How do you build civilizations on such an unstable world? We adapt, Taemin said simply. We build flexible structures that can handle earthquakes. We develop agriculture that works in different climates. We study animal behavior and learn to predict their patterns. We expect change and prepare for it. Jiwoo finished treating the last patient and came over to join the conversation. All 3 of them will survive if we can get them proper medical care. But they can't travel far in their condition. We need to bring our ship here or find a way to carry them back. Hana pulled up a map of the surrounding terrain on her portable display. There's a clearing about 2 kilometers from here, big enough for the Resilience to land. If Dong-hyun can navigate through the canyon system, he can reach it. We'd still need to carry the wounded 2 kilometers, but that's better than 15. Can your people walk 2 kilometers? Taemin asked Dr. Velmar. 2 of us can, the scientist replied, indicating itself and the least injured survivor. The others will need to be carried. Then that's what we'll do, Taemin decided. He activated his communicator. Dong-hyun, are you there? The pilot's voice came through with some static. Here, Captain. Is everyone all right? We found the science team. 4 survivors, 3 badly injured. We need you to move the ship to coordinates I'm sending now. Can you fly through the canyon system? There was a pause as Dong-hyun examined the route. It'll be tight and those winds are going to make it interesting, but yes, I can do it. Give me 3 hours. Good. We'll start moving the survivors toward the landing zone. Taemin out. As they prepared to leave, Dr. Velmar approached Taemin. Captain, I must ask, why did you risk your lives for us? Your species just met the galactic community. You owe us nothing. Taemin looked at the Valari scientist, at its cracked plates and tired eyes, and thought about all the times humans had rescued each other from impossible situations. Trapped miners, lost hikers, sailors in stormy seas. It was what they did. Because you needed help, he said. And because we could provide it. On Earth we have a saying, we leave no one behind. That doesn't just apply to humans. It applies to anyone who needs saving. Dr. Velmar was quiet for a long moment. The galaxy has never encountered a species like yours, it said finally. I think we are all going to learn a great deal from humanity. They fashioned stretchers from pieces of the wrecked ship and began the slow journey toward the landing zone. Night had fully fallen now, and the jungle was alive with sounds and movement, but the human crew moved with confidence through the darkness. their Earth-trained instincts guiding them safely through a world that had defeated 3 Volari rescue missions. The survivors watched in wonder, beginning to understand what it meant to come from a death world. The Resilience dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kelvara system. Through the viewport, the planet hung in space like a blue-green marble streaked with white clouds. It looked peaceful from this distance, almost inviting. Taman knew better than to trust appearances. Running deep scans now, Hana reported from her station. Her eyes narrowed as data filled her screens. The atmospheric turbulence is worse than the reports indicated. I'm picking up electrical storms across 3 continents. Wind speeds at the surface are reaching 200 kilometers per hour. Any sign of the science team? Taman asked. Jiwoo worked at the sensor array, filtering through layers of interference. There's something... Yes, I've got a faint energy signature. It's coming from the southern continent in a jungle region. The power output is weak, but it's definitely artificial. They might still be alive. Dong-hyun was already calculating approach vectors. Captain, I can get us down, but it won't be comfortable. Those storms are going to shake us hard. The landing zone will be rough. Do what you need to do, Taemin said, settling into his command chair and fastening the safety harness. Everyone secure your stations. This is going to be interesting. The Resilience angled toward the planet and began its descent. At first, the ride was smooth as they passed through the upper atmosphere. Then they hit the storm layer and the ship began to shake. Lightning flashed around them. Brilliant purple and white bolts that made the sensors scream warnings. Dong-hyun's hands moved steadily across the controls, making tiny adjustments to keep them on course. He had trained for this, flying through typhoons back on Earth and landing in conditions that would ground civilian craft. The ship bucked and rolled, but he kept them steady. Hull temperature rising, Hana called out over the noise. We're taking some hits from the lightning, but the shields are holding. Barely. A massive bolt struck the ship directly and the lights flickered. Emergency systems kicked in immediately, bathing the bridge in red light. Taemin gripped his armrests but kept his voice calm. Status? Starboard shield generator is offline, Hana said, her fingers flying across emergency repair protocols. Rerouting power from secondary systems. We're still flying. Through the viewport, they could see the ground rushing up to meet them. The jungle below was dense with trees that looked like they reached 100 meters into the sky. Dong-hyun searched for a clearing, any flat space large enough for the ship. There wasn't much choice. Brace for impact, he shouted, and fired the reverse thrusters at full power. The Resilience hit the ground hard, skidding through vegetation and soft earth. Trees snapped and fell around them. The ship tilted dangerously to one side, then settled with a groan of stressed metal. Alarms blared throughout the vessel, but they were down and mostly intact. Taemin was the first to unbuckle. Damage report. Everyone okay? His crew checked in one by one, shaken but unhurt. Hana pulled up the ship's diagnostics. The landing gear took most of the damage. We can fix it, but we'll need parts and time. The main engines are fine, but that shield generator is completely fried. We're not taking off anytime soon. The energy signature is 15 kilometers northeast, Jiwoo added. We'll have to go on foot. Taemin moved to the weapons locker and began distributing equipment. Standard energy pistols, survival packs, medical kits, and environmental suits. We travel light and fast. Hana, Jiwoo, you're with me. Dong-hyun, you stay with the ship and keep the engines warm. If things go wrong, I want to be able to leave quickly. Understood. Captain, Dong-hyun said, though he looked disappointed to be left behind. The airlock opened with a hiss, and the crew got their first breath of Kelvara Prime's atmosphere. It was thick and humid, heavy with the smell of decay and growth. The temperature was at least 40 degrees, and they could feel the high gravity immediately. It's like wearing a heavy pack that pressed down on every part of their bodies. Stay alert, Taemin warned as they stepped into the jungle. Assume everything here wants to kill us. They hadn't walked 50 meters before his warning proved accurate. A creature burst from the undergrowth, moving faster than should have been possible for something so large. It was built low to the ground on 6 powerful legs, with armored plates covering its body and a mouth filled with serrated teeth. Venomous spines ran along its back, glistening with fluid. Jiwoo raised her pistol, but Hana grabbed her arm. Wait, don't shoot unless we have to. The noise might attract more of them. The creature circled them, hissing and clacking its jaws. Taemin slowly reached into his pack and pulled out a sonic emitter, a device used for scaring away aggressive wildlife. He activated it and a high-pitched sound filled the air. The creature's head snapped back and it retreated into the jungle, clearly uncomfortable with the noise. "Smart thinking," Taman said. "Conserve ammunition. We don't know what else is out here." They pushed deeper into the jungle, navigating by compass and the signal from Jiwoo's scanner. The vegetation was unlike anything on Earth, with plants that had bark like metal and leaves that dripped caustic sap. Hana accidentally brushed against one and her suit began to smoke where the sap touched it. "Watch the plants," she warned, examining the damage. "That stuff is like acid. It ate through the first layer of my suit in seconds." Jiwoo took a sample carefully, sealing it in a containment tube. The Valari said the plants became toxic. This must be part of the change. But it's not that different from some plants on Earth. We have trees that produce acids, flowers that cause chemical burns. As they walked, strange creatures watched them from the trees. Some had too many eyes, others had none at all. The jungle was alive with sounds, clicks, whistles, roars, and screams. The crew moved in tight formation, watching each other's backs. The gravity was exhausting. Every step felt like walking uphill. Taman's legs burned, and he could see his crew struggling too. But they had trained in high-gravity environments, had pushed their bodies to the limit in preparation for exactly this kind of challenge. They could handle it. After 4 hours of hiking, they came to a ridge overlooking a valley. Through the mist, they could see the wreckage of a ship half buried in the jungle floor. Parts of it were overgrown with vines, but they could see light still glowing inside. "That's it," Jiwoo said, pointing. "The energy signature is coming from that ship. There are life signs inside, Captain. Faint but present. They're alive." Taman felt a surge of relief and determination. "Then let's get down there and bring them home." They descended into the valley as the sun began to set, and the jungle around them started to wake up for the night. The sounds changed, became deeper and more threatening. Glowing eyes appeared in the darkness between the trees. The temperature dropped rapidly, from 40 degrees to below freezing in less than an hour. The Valari weren't kidding about the temperature swings, Hana said, her breath misting in the sudden cold. "This is brutal." But the crew activated the heating elements in their suits and pressed on. They had experienced cold before, had trained in Arctic conditions where exposure meant death in minutes. This was just another challenge to overcome. As they reached the crashed ship and began to cut through the sealed entrance, Taman allowed himself a small smile. The galaxy thought this was a death world. Maybe it was, for species that didn't come from Earth. But humans had been forged in a crucible just as harsh. They were right where they belonged. The stars looked different through the observation window of the Resilience. Captain Taman stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the swirling colors of the jump gate fade away. They had just traveled farther from Earth than any human crew before them. The ship hummed quietly around him, a sound he found comforting after 3 months in deep space. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," Hana called from the engineering station. Her fingers moved quickly across the holographic display. "It's not in any language our computers recognize, but the AI is working on it." Taman walked over to her station and leaned in to look at the strange symbols flowing across the screen. Within seconds, the translation software began to make sense of the patterns. The message was simple: a welcome to this region of space and an invitation to meet. "Dong-hyun, set course for those coordinates," Taman ordered. The pilot nodded and guided the ship toward a massive station orbiting a blue giant star. As they approached, the crew gathered on the bridge to see their first alien civilization. The station was enormous, easily 10 times the size of anything humans had built. It looked like a giant flower made of metal and crystal, with dozens of ships coming and going from petal-shaped docking bays. Lights pulsed along its surface in patterns that might have been communication or decoration or both. "They're giving us docking clearance," Jiwoo said from the medical station. The young medic looked excited and nervous at the same time. "Bay 17. The Resilience glided into the docking bay smoothly. Through the windows they could see figures moving on the other side of the airlock. When the atmosphere equalized and the doors opened, Taman led his crew into their first meeting with an alien species. The Valari were like nothing they had imagined. They stood on 4 legs with 2 arms that ended in delicate manipulators. Their bodies were covered in smooth chitinous plates that shimmered with purple and green colors. Large compound eyes dominated their faces and their mouths had mandibles that clicked softly when they spoke. "Welcome, humans," the translator device said in perfect Korean. The Valari in front bowed slightly, a gesture that seemed natural despite their different body structure. I am Ambassador Krillix. We have been watching your species with great interest since you discovered faster-than-light travel. Taemin returned the bow. Thank you for your welcome, Ambassador. We're honored to meet you and learn about the galactic community. Krillix led them through the station, explaining how dozens of species traded and cooperated here. They passed aliens of every imaginable shape, beings made of crystal, creatures that floated in containment fields, and things that defied easy description. The crew tried not to stare, but everything was so new and strange. In a large meeting chamber, Krillix brought up a holographic display of the local star systems. There are many worlds here that would interest your species, the ambassador said. Rich planets, beautiful nebulas, ancient ruins to explore. But there is one place you must avoid at all costs. The display zoomed in on a yellow star with 7 planets. The fourth one pulsed with a red warning indicator. This is Kelvara Prime, Krillix explained. 3 cycles ago, we had a thriving colony there. 5,000 Valari lived and worked on that world. Then something changed. What happened? Hana asked, leaning forward. The planet became hostile, Krillix said, and even through the translator they could hear the sadness. The weather turned violent. The animals became aggressive. Plants that were harmless began producing toxins. Earthquakes destroyed our cities. We evacuated everyone we could, but many died. Now Kelvara Prime is classified as a death world. No one goes there. Taemin studied the data streaming across the display. Gravity was 1.8 times Earth standard. Temperature swings of 60 degrees between day and night. Storm systems that lasted for weeks. The atmosphere was breathable but filled with spores and allergens. Every form of life seemed designed to kill. With respect, Ambassador, Taemin said slowly. These conditions don't seem that extreme to us. Krillix's mandibles clicked in what might have been surprise. Captain, that planet will kill you within hours. The gravity alone would crush most species. The temperature changes would cause fatal stress. The predators there can bite through starship hulls. Jiwoo pulled up Earth's data on her tablet. Ambassador, may I show you something? She displayed information about Earth's environment. Our homeworld has similar conditions. We have gravity at one standard, but we've adapted to it. Our temperatures swing by 100 degrees in some regions. We have predators that can kill humans easily, storms that destroy cities, earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis. The bridge grew quiet as the Valari processed this information. Krillix's eyes seemed to shimmer as they rapidly moved, reading the data. Your world is classified as a high-risk planet by our standards, the ambassador said finally. How did your species survive? We adapted, Taemin said simply. We learned to predict the weather, build stronger shelters, avoid dangerous animals, and treat injuries. We turned challenges into opportunities. Donghyun spoke up from where he had been quietly observing. Ambassador, you said you evacuated everyone you could from Kelvara Prime. Does that mean some people might still be there? Krillix's posture shifted in a way that suggested distress. We lost contact with a science team 3 weeks ago. 6 researchers were studying why the planet changed. We sent 3 rescue missions, but none could reach them. The environment is too hostile. They are certainly dead by now. Taemin looked at his crew. Hana's expression was determined. Jiwoo nodded slowly. Donghyun cracked his knuckles, ready for action. They didn't need to discuss it. Ambassador Krillix, Taemin said, we would like to mount a rescue mission to Kelvara Prime. If there's any chance those researchers are alive, we should try to save them. Captain, I must advise against this strongly, Krillix said. You don't understand how dangerous that world is. Your ship will be destroyed. Your crew will die. Taemin smiled, and there was confidence in that smile. Ambassador, we're from Earth. If we can survive there, we can survive anywhere. Give us the last known coordinates of the science team. Krillix studied the humans for a long moment. Finally, the ambassador transmitted the data. I hope your confidence is not misplaced, Captain. The galaxy needs species like yours. It would be tragic to lose you so soon after meeting you. As the crew returned to the Resilience and began preparing for the mission, Taemin looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there was a planet that terrified an entire galactic civilization. But he had grown up in the mountains of Korea, where winter could kill you in minutes and summer heat was brutal. He had trained in deserts and jungles and Arctic wastes. Earth had prepared humanity for this moment. Now they would prove it.